Hello, successful people.
Welcome back to the Iron Fire Success channel. I'm DK.
And I'm Mo.
Thank you so much to our subscribers.
And if you're new to our channel, welcome. In today's video, we're going to cover the basics of charging your 2025 Ioniq 5 from home.
We're just going to cover what you need to get started charging and point you towards some helpful resources for specific questions.
Let's ride.
This video is for you if, like me, you just bought a 2025 Ioniq 5 EV and it's your first EV. I'm just going to cover some basic questions about what you need to get started charging from home, and I'm going to have links in the description box to Hyundai videos, other videos I saw, and articles which will take you in a more step-by-step fashion about exactly what you need to do in order to charge the EV. This is just the basics to get you started charging at home. So I have my notes here, let's go. First of all, what kind of wall outlet do you need? So the good news is you can charge your 2025 Ioniq 5 just using a regular wall outlet. They gave me the charging cable when I bought the car, and when I came home, I plugged it in the wall and looked at my app and saw that it would take way over 100 hours to charge the vehicle. Now I'm going to get into later about why it would have taken that long, but just know you can use a regular wall outlet. That is level 1 charging. Level 2 charging would be if you have a 240 volt outlet. I'll show you a picture of what that is. I had one of those put into my garage when I built the house because I knew I'd eventually get an EV and wanted to be able to charge it there. So you need a 240 volt outlet if you want level 2 charging. There is such a thing as level 3 charging, but that's the DC super fast charger. That's what they're talking about when they say your car can go from 20% to 80% in about 18 to 20 minutes. They're talking about DC super fast chargers. That's something you're going to find commercially outside. You're not going to have that in your home. So for your home, you just need a regular wall outlet or a 240 volt outlet. Before I keep going, if you're brand new to owning an EV like I am, you may not be familiar with voltage and amps and why they're important when it comes to charging your EV. I'm going to give you my quick unscientific tutorial of my understanding of these things, and I'm going to put some references in the description box for you to get a more scientific and accurate description if you need it. But here's my understanding. A regular wall outlet in your house is 120 volts. Volts equals the amount of electrical push, pressure, similar to what would happen if you turn on a faucet or a hose. It's the pressure. However, a normal wall outlet can also handle up to 15 amps of current, equaling the amount of current or power that that particular circuit can handle. How do you know if it's 15? If you go into your circuit breaker, you should see there on the lever, it'll tell you how many amps of current that particular circuit can take. The significance being, if you're going to plug in a normal household appliance, say something like a lamp with a 60 watt bulb, that lamp may use half an amp of current. That's fine on a 15 amp maximum outlet. However, there may be some household appliances that may draw more than half an amp of current, things like air fryers, microwaves, refrigerators. This is why in most homes you may have a maximum 20 amp outlet and a few of them in your kitchen, in your bathroom, or your garage. So that way, if you have an appliance that needs a higher amount of amps or current in order to run, you can do that and it's not going to trip the circuit breaker, because obviously that's what the circuit breaker is for, to prevent there from being too many amps drawn on that particular circuit. So stay with me. So when you are plugging in your car on a level 1 charger, the reason why it takes so long is because the maximum amount of amps that charger will allow with the 2025 Ioniq 5 is 12. It's preset to 6 amps and the maximum is 12. So whether you plug it into a 15 amp outlet or a 20 amp outlet, I don't think it's going to make any difference because 12 amps is what you're going to get. So the battery may increase by 5 to 6 miles of range for every hour you have your car plugged into a regular 120 volt outlet. However, when I start talking about 240 volt outlets, the amount of amps or maximum amount of current those outlets can take is higher. So for example, my wall outlet can take up to 50 amps of current. However, the charger I bought is not going to allow me to use all the way up to 50 because remember, we have to protect the circuit and protect the thing that's being plugged in. So you'll see that the charger will only allow me to charge up to 40 amps of current. So the reason why 240 volt is faster than your regular 120 volt wall outlet doesn't really mean speed at which the current is flowing. It's the amount of current that's higher, and so that is going to the battery. The battery of the car is getting charged faster. When it comes to DC super fast charging, I believe I read those things could handle between 100 and 500 amps of current, therefore pushing all that power into the battery a lot faster. I hope that's helpful. Let's get back to the video. So what happens if you want to use a 240 volt outlet because you want level 2 faster charging, but you don't have one in your garage like I do? I'm going to show you some screenshots I took from online where if you have a dryer, and the dryer it most likely is going to use a 240 volt outlet, you can get a splitter. And with the splitter, you're going to be able to use it for the dryer when it's time for you to use the dryer, and you'll be able to use it for your EV when it's time for you to use your EV. You just can't have both things running at the same time, but I'm gonna hop on to my computer and show you what it looks like if you wanted to get one of these splitters because you don't want to install a 240 volt outlet. So this is a screenshot from Amazon, and you can see this is just one of many of these splitters available. They're made so that you can charge your EV or a dryer or RV. But notice the configuration of the plugs on both sides. If you're gonna buy one of these, you have to make sure that the plug that's there for the wall that you're gonna plug this into matches one end, and you're gonna have to make sure that the dryer or whatever else you're gonna have plugged in matches, and you're gonna make sure that your EV charger matches. So just look at the configurations of the plugs. There are some online cheat sheets as well to kind of show you what these things are. And as long as you have these ends matched up properly, you should be good to go. Okay, so the next question I think is, what kind of charging cables do you need? Well, when I bought the car, like I said, it came with a level 1 charging cable. That cable has the box already on it to control the amps of the charge. So you don't need to buy anything else if you plan on using level 1 charging. If you are going to use level 2 charging, though, you do have some options. First, let me tell you that Hyundai does have a program, at least when I bought my car in May 2025, it did. This program allows you to sign up through the My Hyundai website, and you can get either $400 worth of charge credit to be used at charge point chargers out in the streets, or you can use it towards getting a ChargePoint brand home charger. Now, at the time I bought the car, I didn't know that the ChargePoint home charger was an option. I thought it was just a matter of getting $400 worth of the ChargePoint credit. So I bought a home charger, then I got online and signed up for the program, only to find out that what you can get depends on your zip code. So for my zip code, I don't qualify for the $400 worth of EV charging credit through ChargePoint. And because I already bought the charger, which I wasn't going to take everything apart and take it back, I guess I just lost out on that benefit, but you don't have to because now you know. So if you buy one like I did, the question is, which one could you buy? And you can buy a whole lot. I decided to buy one from Amazon because I wanted to get it quickly and I wanted to be able to take it back quickly if the case is it didn't work or I didn't like it. So I just did some quick research and I found this Emporia home charger. It was listed on Car and Driver for 2025 best budget home EV charger, and it had good ratings, so I got it. So far, it's worked perfectly. I'm going to show you some pictures of what this looks like. So there are many versions of this Emporia home charger, and you're going to see there's a lot of versions online. I just wanted to make sure that the plug that plugs into the wall, my 240 outlet, matched the configuration of the 240 outlet that I have, and that the other cable coming out of it was an NACS port, because the 2025 Ioniq 5 has the NACS port. The Emporia EV charger was easy to set up. Mo just hung the unit on a wall. He hung up the part where the cables are being hung on the wall and plugged one end into the 240 volt outlet and just plugged the other cable into the car, and that's really all there is to it. It comes with an app that I really like because we can see exactly how much money it costs for us to charge the car, and we can see when it's peak or off-peak times so that we have it arranged to only charge during off-peak times to save money. Another thing about this EV charger is that if we had other compatible smart home things, solar panels, maybe a solar battery, some smart plugs, we would be able to actually use those things too with the app. We don't have any of those yet, but if we do, we can. And this is also Alexa compatible. You can also set the charging so that it charges only during off-peak times in the car. And you might be able to do it from the My Hyundai app, I'm not sure. But I know in the car, you can set it so that it sets between a certain time. And you can also control how much you want the battery to charge to. Do you want it to 80%, 90%, 100%? You can set that inside the car and possibly in the My Hyundai app too. Lastly, how long will it take to charge? This depends on a couple of things. Number one, what percentage of battery charge are you starting from? Are you starting from 20%? And where are you trying to take it to? Are you taking it all the way to 100 or are you stopping at 80? Now, couple that with whether you're using level 1 or level 2 charging, and you can kind of gauge how long it's going to take to fully charge, and the app will tell you anyway. But let's say, for example, you drive back and forth to work and all you're going to do is replenish what you used that day. I'm going to drop a link to a video where there's a guy who is doing that and explains how he's able to use level 1 charging to do that. In that instance, he's charging it overnight because it still takes many, many hours to charge on a level 1 in order for the car to replenish itself what he used the previous day. Now, although level 1 charging is slower, I understand that there's a way that you could speed that up a little bit if you happen to have a 20 amp outlet at your house. Then I'm going to show you a picture. I do have a 20 amp outlet in my garage. I did not know that I could have plugged it into the 20 amp outlet and used the buttons on the box to be able to speed that charging up a little bit. But I don't know if speeding up from over 100 hours to 80 hours would help. But do look at the resources I put in the description box. Now for me, because I'm not really replenishing what I use each day, I'm allowing my battery to run down to about 30 or 25%, and then I'm replenishing it up to 80%. On my level 2 home charger, I think it takes about 5 or 6 hours-ish to be able to do that, and I can also see that in my Hyundai app and the Emporia app. I learned that it's not recommended that you allow your battery to run down below 20%, and it's not recommended you charge it above 80 unless you're going on a road trip, in which case you might want to charge it to 100%. I also learned that it's not good to rely on those DC super fast chargers to replenish your battery quickly as a regular course of business. Those kinds of topics fall under the heading of battery management, which you will learn more about over time. For now, just know that you can get started charging your 2025 Ioniq 5 at home if you have a regular wall outlet. If you have a 240 volt outlet, you just buy your charger and plug it up. But if you want to use 240 volt outlets shared by something else, you can get a splitter and do it that way. Thank you for watching. I hope this gave you some helpful information on how to charge your 2025 Ioniq 5 from home.
Please subscribe for more content about new home construction and model home tours in and around San Antonio.
And subscribe to continue to follow us as we continue to turn our new construction house into a home and give you some more helpful tips if this is your first EV and you have a 2025 Ioniq 5 like we do.
As always, until next time, be peaceful, stay prayerful, and count your blessings.